Hey everyone, how's it going? And in this video, I'm going to be doing an engine bay clean on my dad's 275,000 mile Astra. And after the interior video, I had loads of requests to do the engine, so I wouldn't want to disappoint you all. As you can see, this engine is filthy. Probably one of the worst I've ever seen. There's tons of dirt, oil and grime that we need to get off, but I'm confident with a little bit of elbow grease that this car can look a lot better. Anyone who has watched the earlier parts in this series, where I clean the interior and exterior, knows that keeping this car clean is the bottom of my dad's priorities. Any mechanical jobs get done straight away, but cosmetics mean very little. Now I can't do an engine bay detail without giving a massive shout out to Chrisfix who, in my opinion, released a definitive guide on cleaning engine bays. Be sure to check out his video, links are in the description below. As always, if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm not going to be isolating the car's power supply. Simply put, I have no idea if my dad has the code for the factory radio, and I know he won't be happy if he's left without his tunes. If this was a customer's car, I'd stop right here, and I wouldn't go any further unless they let me disconnect the power, but since this is a family's car and parts are cheap for this, I'm prepared to take the risk and responsibility. I'm going to start off by giving the engine bay a good vacuum. You wouldn't mop a dirty floor before sweeping it, right? Well, the same applies here. I want to try and get as much dirt off this engine whilst it's still dry. Here, I am just taking a couple of detailing brushes and loosening the dirt so that it's easier to suck up. For more stubborn spots, I used a can of compressed air and the brush attachment for my vacuum. And with that all done, the engine already looks loads better. However, there's still loads of oil and grease that needs removing. We have a few problems. Firstly, I've intentionally not isolated the power. And secondly, this engine is 17 years old and has done almost 300,000 miles. And because of this, I have to be very careful about the amount of water that I introduce. Now, I'm going to introduce some cleaning chemicals. Here, I'm using Autoglim's Engine and Machine Cleaner, which is a degreaser, and I'm going to start with the top of the bonnet. Before I do that, I'm going to cover the engine with a plastic bag to reduce the amount of water hitting it. I'm going to go in with the cleaner and let it sit on the grime for a minute or so to break down the dirt before going in with an old microfiber cloth and a detailing brush and then wiping it off. With the liner, I find a flat scrubbing motion yields the best results. Then I'm going to go over the area a second time with a cleaner microfiber and some all-purpose cleaner. This is just to remove the dirty streaks left behind from the first microfiber. The underside of the bonnet is looking great, so now it's time to move on to the engine bay itself. Here, I pretty much followed the exact same steps as before. Degreaser applied with a detailing brush and wiped off with an old microfiber before going over it a second time with some all-purpose cleaner. Of course, I need to be careful around the positive battery terminal since it's still connected. On the other side, it's mostly the same procedure, but I don't have to be quite as careful with water, since there's no battery or fuses on this side. That's why I'm using a hose pipe just to wash this side off. The slam panel is very dirty and starting to corrode, and this took quite a bit of working in to get clean. And finally, it was time to tackle the engine block. As you can see, there's lots of oil lower down and the exhaust heat shield looks horrible. So after getting the top of the engine and the hoses clean, I decided to do something about it. No torque steer video would be complete without me breaking out the old wet and dry sandpaper, so I decided to do my best to remove as much dirt and corrosion as possible. And now it's time to apply some grey primer to the area. I'm just doing this very roughly and quickly since I'm not trying to achieve a good finish. And now I'm going to apply some of this high temperature paint in probably the quickest and worst paint job in the world. With the clean almost done, it was time to just finish off the smaller details like the dipstick and filler cap, and to touch up any rust spots with a paint marker. Now I know this rust needs treating, but this is just a detail and my dad can do the rust if he wants to later. And to finish it off, I applied some tyre gel with a sponge and a brush to the engine block and surrounding components. The underside of the bonnet is looking so much better. We could really do with a new liner, but it looks so much more respectable than it did before. Check out this engine bay. Yes, there's still more that could be done, but on first glance this car looks clean and it looks taken care of. It's amazing how a couple of hours work can transform the appearance of your car and make it something to be proud of, even if it's an old and battered car like this one. If you haven't checked them out already, be sure to check out parts 1 and 2 where I go over the exterior of this car, and part 3 where I give the interior a complete detail. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. See you all soon, and take care.